Hey everybody, it's Brian from Late Weather Forecast, and today I'm going to be doing a video, just a recap on Zeta. I want to apologize for not posting any videos for that. I just really got caught up with it, and I just forgot to post a video. I was all over on Twitter, if you were following me there, as you probably know. But yeah, I just forgot to do a video update. But for those of you who care, my bad. For those of you that don't care, well, then you don't care, do you? So it all works out, I guess, for you. But so yeah, I'm gonna do a Zeta recap, and I'm also gonna be doing a Halloween Eve snow forecast for tomorrow. So yeah, we do have a winter storm coming in. We technically still have the energy from Winter Storm Billy that's gonna be working its way up, and the current satellite loop is the first part of our system, or the first interaction, which is post-tropical storm Zeta now in the most recent 2 p.m. advisory from the National Hurricane Center. Winds still 50 miles per hour. So the impacts don't change at all, just the categorization of a tropical storm and a post-tropical storm. So we still expect gusty conditions across the mid-Atlantic coast and uh, the, the eastern portions of the North Carolina as well. So it's definitely not over yet, and we can definitely still see some good convection happening right now, and some heavy rainfall still in the Mid-Atlantic, and but some places could potentially see as much as 5 or 6 inches of rain out of Zeta's remnants now. So that can't be ruled out. We're also seeing rainfall into the Northeast. It gets cut off into New England, but we can see the rainfall heading into the Northeast as well. And it's been raining just about all day so far, besides the early part of the morning for much of the Northeast. And so, yeah, we're going to continue to see more rainfall today from many portions of the East Coast. Uh, but yeah, that just about does it for what Zeta is going to bring. What did Zeta bring? Well, there were reported gusts of over 120, 130 miles per hour. Um, a lot of those with a little bit of elevation. A lot of those were reportedly around 50 feet up. Others were from oil rigs that were reporting some gusts, some higher gusts, I should say. And so they're not being listed in the official forecast, but no, there were in the official reports, but no, there were gusts upwards of 120, 130 miles per hour that just aren't being listed in the official reports. So, in the official reports, the highest wind gusts they listed was 112 miles per hour, but they were definitely wind gusts higher than that. I'm expecting in the postseason analysis they upgraded this to a Cat 3. There's plenty of evidence there. Um, Regardless, the impacts were the same for people. The impacts didn't change whether they categorized it as a Cat 3 or a Cat 2. Your impacts, they don't change based on the National Hurricane Center's categorization for it, and they do a fantastic job. Hands down, they do the best job, and that's why they are the National Hurricane Center, and that's why you go to them for your official forecast, because they're going to give you the best information you need at the time, that you need to know about what you need to do to stay safe. That's what they care about more. That's why it's put in place, for your safety, for your benefit. Uh, yeah. So yeah, that's what we saw from Zeta. Not It wasn't a big rainfall maker as it was moving 20, 30 miles per hour, and it's currently moving almost 50 miles per hour now. And surge, I'm sure we're going to get some good reports out of that. But so far, I would categorize storm surge on the Mississippi coast. I would say anywhere from 7 to 10 feet. A lot of the Mississippi coast probably saw, and I don't. And there's possible they saw higher, but as of right now, I don't know if they. What else? What else they saw? I know there was definitely around 9 feet of surge of in Bay St. Louis, Waveland, that area. As the station did fine, it held its ground. Uh, it came underwater, the station, and was able to still read though, and it did just fine. Reporting again, like I said, almost 9 feet of storm surge in Waveland, which was just a tremendous amount, and around 8.2 feet of water above normally dry ground. So yeah, that it was this was a big problem, and they don't retire Greek names. But there are definitely a couple storms that have made a case this year for that, with no doubt of question. And there could be another one. I'll briefly discuss that. You can get National Hurricane Center. We have this problem out here. 2060 are the odds on this one. Um, so this is going to have a chance to move in the Caribbean. If you briefly look at uh, the update, the 2 p.m. update says disturbed weather in the vicinity of Lesser Antilles is tropical wave, upper level winds expect to become more favorable, and depression could form by the weekend. They think a depression could possibly form. Uh, and possibly, if not then, maybe early next week, a tropical depression could form. So that's the time frame we're looking at for that. But I'm not going to go any farther into that. I'm going to get out of this and try and cover this snowstorm as quickly as possible. So pretty quickly, you can see my thoughts. I've kept this. I held my own with this, even though when it did not look like it was going to happen. I yesterday with the 6Z and the 12Z guidance, and I think it was partially because Zeta was stronger um, than the models were indicating. It landfall around 970 millibars, maybe a little bit lower. We'll see on that, but um, it just the model guidance I think did not um, handle it well yesterday, and now it's trying to get a better idea of it. And I really think that we're gonna see some of these snowfall totals for areas. I think along the coast it'll just be flakes. Maybe a trace of snow is possible, I guess, in some of those areas. If you get a quick, brief, heavy transition of snowfall, you could potentially see a quick trace. But then we go north of that, we go from Brockton along areas of I-84. We could be looking at a coating to 2 inches of snow, I think, and this area also stretches up along to the North Shore in Boston, where I think a coating of 2 inches of snow is possible. And then we go north of that, we go around the Pike. This is mainly for the Mass Pike areas, around I think 2 to 4 inches of snowfall we're looking at for them. And there's isolated chance that we could see more. I'm going to have another update later on this map tonight if you want to look. And we'll see. The snowfall totals could be higher in isolated areas depending on how heavy the precipitation is. And I think 3 to 6 plus north and west of there, we're talking Berkshire, southern Vermont, portions of northern Mass, and really I like 2 to 4 for most of the state of Massachusetts, but I'm gonna go with 3 to 6 and rely on that. A lot of the places uh, that aren't elevated will be in the lower end of that total. I think the precip shield is going to be a little bit farther northwest than the models are anticipating right now. And if we look into that more a little bit, take a look at the model runs. Here is 12Z yesterday. We can see the 500 millibar vort here, and we can see it. It looks good. Yeah, it looks like a strong storm system, right? But it's a little messy, displaced, and it's not really driving up. We're not seeing really any of that energy drive up into New England, well into New England, and we're just not really seeing that much, which is a lot, which forced the model run to show less of a precip shield and almost no heavy precipitation. But now we look at today's 12Z run and look at the difference. We can see it's a little bit more stacked. The interaction is a little bit better with the piece of energy behind it. We can also see definitely some stronger vorticity heading up into New England, and that's going to allow, as we saw, for more precipitation, more heavier precipitation, and more longer lasting time frame for this snowstorm, which again could allow for more snow than we're potentially looking at even in my snowfall map. And you're going to look and you're going to see, well, all these official forecasts currently have 1 to 2, all these local mets. Well, yeah, but if you look at the National Weather Service, they have 3 inches for Worcester. That fits perfectly into my 2 to 4, and they have a little bit less even up north because that's based on their forecast right now. The precip shield isn't going to quite get as far, and the heavier precip is going to be limited to just north of that rain snow line. I do think that's very true. I think the heaviest of the precipitation is going to be limited to just north of that rain snow line. So where that sets up, that's going to be pretty important. Um, but I do think it's going to be cold enough where we're going to be able to get those 10-to-1 snowfall ratios and maybe 11-to-1, 12-to-1 snowfall ratios for places like the Berkshire, southern Vermont, southern New Hampshire, where those places are just a little bit more elevated and have a higher longitude. So I think so that those are my thoughts currently for the storm. But as I said, I'll show you. Go back to the 12Z yesterday, and we can take a look. Um, at what it does on right now. We don't want that. That doesn't show frozen precip. And we can play this through and watch it come in, right? Not really doing a lot. Barely. It's not able to build enough just because the system is not strong enough, right? There wasn't a good enough interaction between the two systems for this to happen. And I think they're underestimating that strength of that upper level low too. I think this being a little bit underdone as well on the strength of the upper level low, which is going to be moving through and is going to allow for some of that heavier precip to drive more northward. And so yeah, we see that, and the snowfall was very limited to an inch or two at the max for this run. But we take a look at today's run from the NAM model, and we can see, boom, yep, we get our rainfall today. That's a given. But watch the heavier precip build back, and show you what was it? Look at it. There's the difference. You can see all that precipitation that's built up. Excuse me. Um, into more parts of the western Northeast, where we look at Pennsylvania, New Jersey. It doesn't really show a strengthening low pressure, and it kind of gets elongated and forced out, and forcing that low out to sea and weaker, really strengthening the energy more of Zeta's remnants rather. And we take a look at today's run, and we can see a whole lot more precip up into upstate New York, which there could be some flakes there, possibly towards areas more like Syracuse and Buffalo. But I think the Catskills are definitely going to get hit. Sorry if my voice changed. I don't know what just happened to my throat. But you can see that heavier snow then start to build in on the run and even drive all the way south. Look at that. Look at the precip drive south here. And we can definitely see it lasts for a much longer time too, in a much heavier clip. So at snowfalls, I'm not going to show you 10-to-1 because that's inaccurate. We're not going to be looking at 10-to-1 snowfall for these areas. But actually, I'll show you the 10-to-1 briefly, just for the southern Vermont areas for you to look at in the Catskills and the Berkshires. Those areas are going to see 10-to-1 snowfall, so that's going to be accurate. I think it's going to be close to that. Disregard that little green there. Not going to be a foot of snow, I think, from this. Probably just a convective mess up right there. But if we look at the Farrier, which is going to accurately do the snow better, it fits in right into my forecast. We can see those higher elevations going to get a little bit more of that snow, just because of the colder temperature is going to allow for the snow to stick better. And then we see some of those interior locations in Massachusetts seeing 2, 3, 4, even 5 inches potentially. And then we take a look at Boston, seeing around 1 to 2 inches possibly, and then it kind of cuts off once we get down to Route 28, 128, and we start to see less of that snowfall accumulations that happen here. But I generally think this is a good idea for what is going to happen. And it's still a little bit of uncertainty. It could be a little bit less too if it does not stick well enough. The October sun angle is not as good as a January sun angle for you snow lovers. But even despite that, I think the temperature is going to be cold enough, and I think this is a good handle. So if we walk it back here, I think this is about what we're going to be looking at here. I might have to cancel out that 3 to 6 for the coastline of Maine potentially. Look here, yeah, but I don't think that may not happen for sure. So I'm probably gonna have to cut down on that. But I just extended it a little too far, just a little too far. But But still, I think definitely, yeah, it's pretty close to accurate. I think not bad. Probably have to lessen a little bit. Probably 2 to 4 on the northeast edge there for southern Maine and eastern New Hampshire. But otherwise, this is what I'm thinking for our Halloween Eve snowstorm, and I think it's going to be good snowfall. And no, there is no scientific correlation whatsoever that this affects the rest of the winter in any ways. I'm a snow lover. I love snow. I'm not going to deny that. That in no way, shape, or form affects my forecast and what I'm thinking. This is what I'm truly thinking. It's not biased in any way. This is just who I think is going to get some of these higher snowfall totals, and I think this is definitely going to be good snow for sure, especially for an early season snowstorm. It's definitely and one more last thing. Power outages are a little bit of concern. We could be looking at wind gusts potentially 30 to 40 miles per hour and some heavy wet snow sticking to the trees, which is going to cause problems. So power outages are a little bit of concern. If we start to see 3, 4, 5 inches of snowfall, power outages are going to be concerned last year. A good reference point is that late April snowstorm that late season snowstorm we saw in around mid-April last year. If you remember that one and you live in New England, I think that is a good idea of what power outages could look like. If you lost power then you might lose power now. Again, a little bit different time of the season. More leaves are likely on the trees right now, so I don't want to compare it exactly like that because it's definitely different. But a general idea to give you just a reference point of what power outages might look like for some of the local folks in southern New England. But yeah, that's gonna do it for me. I'm gonna have an updated snowfall map later tonight on my Twitter probably. So if you want to check that out. But for now, thanks for watching. Peace out.